Ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, we are going to be talking about some of the most unlucky players in NFL history. Now, they can be unlucky for a number of reasons. It can be injury related. It can be team related. And everybody I'm going to name today has to deal with this stuff, it seems like, a lot more than others. Also, really quick, I want to mention before we start, if I don't mention somebody who you like on this list, it's not because I hate them. Not because I'm trying to disrespect them. It's simply just because I didn't put them in. This video is not made with the intention to cause any sort of arguments, even though I know somehow, some way it will. Real quick before we start, don't forget to use my plugs on G Fuel or Prize Picks. G Fuel, you can save yourself a discount on any G Fuel products. Prize Picks, you'll match up to $100 of your first deposit. Oh, you want to get this golf gear too? Hit the link in my bio at Waggle Golf and use code Wyatt10. You'll save yourself a nice little discount. But that's all I got. Let's get into the unluckiest players in NFL history. Alright, so kicking this video off in no particular order, I want to talk about Tarik McLaurin first. He has to be one of the most unlucky players in NFL history. I am sick. This is going to be his 6th season in his 12th quarterback. Whether it's Mariota, whether it's the guy that they draft, it will be QB number 12. That is horrendous. Terry's a good man. Terry's a great receiver. He's very talented. I mean, you kind of have to be in order to throw up consistent numbers while dealing with a new quarterback every week. But what kind of karma is this man dealing with? What did he do as a kid? You always see that meme of a Ferrari parked outside a really, dumpy looking house. That's Terry. Tarik McLaurin deserves so much better. Next up, we got my Pookie Bear, Nicholas Jamal Chubb. You're asking yourself, Wyatt, how is he unlucky? He's had a great career. You're dang right he has. But that man has dealt with enough crap to fertilize an entire cornfield, and just when things turn around and he gets a good team, Mike Tomlin hires Minkah Fitzpatrick to snap his leg in 7 places and tear 36 different ligaments. Disgusting behavior. Minkah Fitzpatrick, as far as I'm concerned, should be in Alcatraz right now. Not to mention, I think this is also the second catastrophic injury Chubb has had to that same leg, so this severely could affect his play. I don't think it will because he's literally Superman. But I say right now, if Nick Chubb runs under 1,000 yards this year, Minkah Fitzpatrick should at least have to serve 5 years in a penitentiary. Leave my Pookie Bear alone. Up next, we have Jason Verrett. This guy potentially is actually the most unlucky player in NFL history, and this is purely injury related. Jason Verrett was a cornerback who was drafted in the first round of the 2014 NFL draft by the Chargers. Since then, he's only gotten to play like 2 seasons. In one of them, he was a Pro Bowl, but this is his injury history. Dating back to 2014, we have a shoulder labrum tear. Then we have a hamstring pull. Then we have another shoulder labrum tear. Another hamstring pull. We got a knee tear. A pedal Achilles tear, grade 3, a knee patella sprain, a thigh hamstring sprain, a knee ACL tear, grade 3, and an Achilles tear, grade 3 back in 2022. As far as I'm concerned, he is still actively trying to play, but I mean, man, that is awful. You're literally made of glass, and I'm not meaning that as an insult. Like, that just sucks. Next up, we got Devonte Adams, another guy who might be questionably unlucky to some people, but I truly do feel bad for him. I think for one, he is a great person, and for two, he just can't seem to get in the right place at the right time. He's in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, puts up with his drama for how many years, gets so close to the championship, but just can't quite get there. Finally decides, hey, I want to go play somewhere else, so I'm going to go play with one of my best friends, my college quarterback, Derek Carr, in Vegas. Goes to Vegas, the coach gets fired, Derek Carr gets let go. Now he's been forced to play out his contract with a bunch of bums. Like, it's not fair to him at all. And what's even more sad about it, but honorable, is he's handling it pretty well. I mean, you don't see him complaining every day or anything. Just like he's screwed and there's really nothing he can do about it unless he gets a trade. Moving on to the next unlucky player, we've got Todd Gurley, another terrific guy, another terrific talent, and another person whose body just shut down on him at the age of like 25. Dude, he was unbelievably good. The first 4 years, he had 3 Pro Bowls and 2 All-Pros. He was the Rookie of the Year. And then he only turned it into a 6-year career because he got arthritis severely bad in one of his knees, and he just couldn't run. This guy went from what was a Hall of Fame career to now nothing to do with football, and he had no control over it at all. Like, that is unfortunate as it can get. And just for reference as to like how young he still is, he hasn't played since 2020. The guy is still 29 years old. Unreal. Moving on, we got Khalil Mack, another phenomenal player who has had a phenomenal career who just cannot be in the right place at the right time. Gets drafted to the Raiders, well, of course they suck, so then he goes to the Bears because, you know, they're supposed to be this young upcoming team. They fell apart after 1 year and sucked. So then he gets traded to the Chargers where they have this genius, you know, head coach and the upcoming Justin Herbert. Coach has been fired and the team has done nothing but embarrass themselves. I mean, this guy has 101 career sacks, 30 forced fumbles, over 400 tackles, 3 All-Pros, and no rings to show for anything because his teams are always ass. Now moving on, we got Josh Allen, because you guys knew I had to talk about him here. Josh Allen has unbelievably bad luck for putting up historically good performances, and then his defense will melt down and lose him the game. He has the worst luck in the world when it comes to that. He's done it like 3 or 4 times now. It's at the point where if I see Josh Allen going off, I know that we are gonna lose. You never hear him lash out. You never hear him scream about it. You never hear him say the defense sucks. He always tries to blame himself even. Bro, you're not doing anything wrong. You're not in control of allowing 45 points. You're not in control of allowing a touchdown in 13 seconds. Josh Allen will be the quarterback to throw for 400 yards and rush for 200 in one game. He'll complete 90% of the passes. He'll throw 5 touchdowns in it. It'll be the most ridiculous performance you'll ever see. And you know what? He ain't gonna win. Because that's how his luck goes. It's bullshit. And that'll bring us to J.K. Dobbins. He has had atrocious luck since getting into the league. I'll always back J.K. up when I say when healthy, that guy has got freak talent, dude. Crazy fast, crazy evasive, crazy explosive, but he can't stay healthy. He was drafted in 2020, and these are the injuries he has dealt with since. ACL tear, meniscus trim, LCL tear, hamstring tear, pedal Achilles tear grade 3. Like, the guy touches the field, he goes down instantly. It's awful. All right, up next, we got Tre'Davious White. He's another Buffalo Bill, but I think this one makes sense. A tremendous talent, a tremendous person, and a guy who has just had his career taken from him by injuries. I remember when he was first drafted, he did deal with minor injuries like concussions and shoulder problems, but he played through majority of them. Then gets his contract extension, gets an elite team, tears his ACL, comes back, and pretty much immediately tears his Achilles. And now he's not even part of us anymore. You know, it's just depressing. I'm not going to say we would have won Super Bowls if we would have had Trey White, but you can't act like if Trey White would have been there, we wouldn't have been any better the last couple of years. Like, that's not true. I'm gonna miss you, Trey, and good luck wherever you go. Next up, we have Tarik Cohen, however you pronounce it. Dude, he was a speedy little flash of lightning for the Chicago Bears. Like, this guy was 5'6", but he was pretty productive when he ran, and he could also catch and take off like a bolt of lightning. Then in 2020, he tore his ACL, and when he was working to come back, he made a video of him training, and he tore his Achilles in that video, and he's never been able to land a job since. Brother, this guy was an all-pro 1 year. Like, he was great, and he only got to play for 4 seasons. Well, like 3 1/4. Bunch of shit. Now moving on, we got Tyrod Taylor. He's the last Buffalo Bill related guy here, and he has also just had one of the most unfortunate careers of all time. Decent quarterback. He still serves as a backup on the Giants today, but he's just never been, I guess, in the right place at the right time, literally. Gets drafted by Baltimore, wins a Super Bowl behind Flacco. Then he gets signed by Buffalo, where he snaps an 18-year playoff drought. Immediately gets shipped to Cleveland, where he snaps a losing drought. It was with a tie, but they hadn't won in how long, and he didn't lose. Ends up getting concussed like the next game, loses his job to Baker. Then he goes to the Chargers, where he was supposed to start for a year ahead of Herbert, gets his lung punctured by a syringe, and since then he's just been the backup. As well as he's played, the amount of good things that he did for organizations, he got absolutely 0 in return. It is quite unfortunate. Moving on to another quarterback, we gotta talk about Robert Griffin III, right? RG3 probably had one of the most promising careers laid out for him. He was supposed to be the Lamar Jackson of 2012. Well, let me rephrase that. He was the Lamar Jackson of 2012. And then injury happened. I mean, starting off in 2012, he pulled his LCL. Then in 2013, he tore his ACL. 2014, he dislocated his ankle. 2015, he had a cranial concussion. 2016, he had a shoulder scapula fracture. And then his final injury came in Baltimore, where he dislocated his thumb and his career ended. I really wondered what we were going to see out of RG3 if he never got hurt. It's interesting to think about. Next up, we got another quarterback, and this one is Andrew Luck. Unfortunately, his last name did not transition into his life and his strength, because this man was probably the most unlucky human being when it came to getting hit. I mean, not only was his protection horrible, but he was fragile. In 2015, the guy tore his labrum, then he came back, got a concussion, then he had an operation on his shoulder during the offseason, which ended up keeping him out for the entire year in 2017. Then he came back, got a couple minor leg injuries, and called it a career. And there is some people out there who think he's a coward for retiring when he did, but if you saw the amount of times that this man just got absolutely destroyed out there, I think you would get it. He was tired of it, man. He wanted to preserve his body going into the future, but I will always feel bad because the amount of talent he had, that's a multi-Super Bowl champion. I truly believe it. And ending, I asked my dad who he thought the most unlucky player in NFL history was, and he said Barry Sanders. Played as great as he was and never sniffed a Super Bowl, and I mean, that's fair. It's like a Nick Chubb argument almost. Arguably the most talented running back, the most consistent running back, the best running back in the history of history, and he never even got a chance at a championship. Unfortunate. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for me talking about some of the most unlucky players in NFL history. Let me know if you like this video by showing any support to it. You guys know I appreciate any and all help. However, in the meantime, I'm gonna hop off and get this edited so you guys can watch it on time. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday, and as always, I will see you in the next upload.